to start off by thanking tonight's judges, Carol Acurso, Jean Thomas, and Charles Schwartz. You did a great job for us. We're going to have some commentary. And we've got a little less, smaller number of images tonight than usual. I think we're looking at in the mid 40s. So without any further ado, we'll start off with the, oops, not that button. Start off with the basic group. And they are here. Everybody see the screen? Look like, let's see. Initial survey. Come on, get down. Okay, first group, 10 images. And come down, we have to go. Mommy, how do I get down?
Okie dokie.
I'm gonna just go through them all.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Russian MiG. Forgot what it's saying. Russian MiG-26 fighter jet at 680 miles per hour. Towing little brother home. Where the streets have no names. Catchy. Journey and Traveler. Endless Texas Roads. Return journey after fishing in the hot sun. On the road again. Sky on Fire, New Mexico. On the road again. Sorry about that. Okay, I think that was it. So we'll start over. Okay, first one. That is, Carol, is that you?
That's me.
All right.
Okay, I thought this was a really interesting and creative idea, framing the ropes and pipes with those like really good diagonals. However, when people are in a picture, they're always the subject, and unfortunately, she's really dark. She's grainy. So it could have been improved by getting some light onto her. And there's some various ways you could have done that, either some flash, or actually if you'd had like even like your windscreen, your windshield foil protector, something that could have reflected some of that sunset light back onto her would have been nice. Or maybe if you'd moved a little bit and gotten her to move a little bit, so you got a little more sort of side light in her face. If this is your child or you have legitimate access to children on playgrounds, and I say that from experience, that I encourage the photographer to continue working in this kind of setting with children, because I think that was a real creative idea with the usage of the apparatus. Kind of one more thing about titles, and it seemed to be kind of a theme this time around, is some of the titles seemed sort of overly long and stretched to maybe make the connection with the journey theme. And frequently the viewer, could have made that leap on their own. So just kind of a warning to this photographer and others about titles. So that's it.
Thank you. That was a good tip. All right. Russian MiG. This is Jean.
Yes, that's me.
Welcome, Jean, for your first time. We really appreciate you doing this.
Hey, Jean.
Yes, thank you. It's an honor, and it was some fun images. So I'll start with this shot of the MiG with a long afterburner flame. Tells us a big story of a big boost in speed. And that flame there coming out the back end is pretty well captured and in the daylight. So I thought that was good. Good panning technique with the blur in the trees gives us a sense of motion, and it tells us this is a fast journey right below the sound barrier. So having the plane positioned so low to the ground really engages the viewer, I think. And then both the pilot and the guns are visible. So that's a nice touch. I'm sure it was a thrill to see this historic plane flying at the air show. I'm not sure where it was, but the colors are honest. The clouds in the sky are non-distracting, and the field appears to have like a hint of a runway. So that was good. The only thing I could think of for improvement was maybe exploring cropping out some of the negative space at the top of the frame. And then in terms of the viewpoint, this is a good dead-on side shot of a plane, which sometimes could create a static look and feel for the viewer. Maybe experimenting with different angles, maybe with the airplane banking or oriented diagonally in the frame would come across a little bit more dynamic. Another thing that I've seen is low pressure vapor clouds on the jet's wings, but that requires high humidity, and I'm not sure if that really was available that day. But this is certainly an excellent capture.
Thank you, Jean. I found out talking to Jean this week that she knows more about planes and jet planes than 99.9% of the people you'll ever meet. I thought for sure she must have been a pilot, but she just has an interest. Okay, next, towing little brother home. And that is Charles.
Yeah, I just thought it had really good, strong light here. I like the way it's got a good, strong shadow on the side of the pilot house there. You can see, where the light is coming from, and it also you've worked in the sea foam, really kind of helps to establish an edge there, from the two boats. Thing that I had a little trouble with was there is an awful lot of empty space here, and not much happening up in the background. I would have liked to see a little more, a little more definition to the clouds or something, and some poles along the horizon that don't really help. They're just a little distracting, but it's a good story of towing this boat home. So good image.
Okay, thank you. Next is Carol again?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. I think that the point of view of this photo is really highly effective. It's practically down at ground level. The road fills up to like almost half the real estate there in the frame, and that really emphasizes the journey, road trip element kind of theme there. I love the yellow line leading you directly into the picture there, into the landscape. Initially, I was put off by the foreground not being the subject of the focus, but the more I looked at it, I realized that the landscape portion being in focus helps draw your eye up there and keep it there. And that the graphics of the photo really, work without it being in focus, because that's what you look at is where you're going, and your eye is normally going to take that bottom part out of focus anyway. So yeah, so after looking at it a little bit, I figured it worked perfectly the way it was. And I think it's a really well done shot. That's it.
Okay. Next is Journey and Traveler, and that is Jean again, except I didn't move it. There we go.
Okay, yeah. So I looked at this shot and I was thinking to myself, okay, there's a lot going on here. So I kind of enjoyed hunting for the human subject in the photo. It kind of gave me a sense that I'm peeking in or peering in through the empty seats, and it's kind of peeking in on someone's private space there. Good use of colors with the reds and the blues. The motion blur and reflections, they kind of add to that traveling vibe, and then working that in with the theme of journey. So we know it's pandemic time, and most of the people want to get away from it. And maybe that's what this photo says to me. You know, the commuter train's emergency escape handles are trying to say something additional to us, like, you know, let's get out of here. So as this whole photo comes together, you know, the emptiness, the contemplativeness, and this style of travel is kind of well captured in the story. But there are three things that seem to be competing with the traveler: the two yellow seat signs and the white light of the window. And I want to make eye contact with the subject, but it seems a little underexposed there. So maybe experimenting with highlighting the traveler and toning down the other three items could draw the viewer's attention more deeply into the photograph and into the subject. A good shot.
Hey, thanks. Okay, next is Charles again.
Yeah, this one was called Endless Texas Roads, and of course that's exactly what the picture reminds me of, having driven enough of them. You know, I mean, it's a good leading line leading right up to the horizon.
Hey, Charles, you have to speak up.
Can you not hear me?
We
Yeah.
cannot hear you.
Wonderful.
Now you can.
Okay, you can hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Endless Texas Roads. Yeah, that's what it is. Got a good leading line, you know, poles and fence, all of them pointing right up there to the vanishing point on the horizon. But just not much else going on here. Got some decent cloud action going on in this one, but you know, I was looking for more, and it just didn't satisfy me. It does what the title says, but I would have liked to see something more interesting. You know, there was something on the horizon, or there was something traveling down the road, you know, to take us there, or coming at us even, you know, but it just kind of left me wanting more. That's all.
Okay. Next is Return After Fishing. A return journey after fishing in the hot sun. And this will be Carol again.
Yep, that is me again. And this is another one where the title is a little superfluous, a little too long. But it's a great photo. It's very monochromatic, since you have just sort of variations on those golden terms. So the gold gives it a really warm, kind of nostalgic feeling. Essentially, since it is that kind of monochromatic, you look at it a lot like a black and white. And so your emphasis on line, shape, texture. You have this really great T-shape plus shape of the line of light being crossed by the fisherman in his kayak. It's really great that it's a little off center, and that it's off center to the direction that he's got space to move into, versus the other way if he was going out of the frame. So if you cropped it for this, that is very excellent decision making. I like the fact that he and the paddle and his hat are like nicely framed by the light. That emphasizes like the motion, and you've got a good texture there in the water. It kind of breaks up the light. It gives your eyes something to move around and look at. The only kind of niggle I have about this photograph is that the subject, the kayak man, is not quite sharp, but that's not really apparent unless you zoom in. So it's kind of like, this is a print. You could, if you wanted to print this, you could make it sort of, 8 by 10, but if you wanted to make it like larger, it might not come across as well. So that's just kind of a thought when you're editing your photos maybe, and you're looking at, what might keep this from being as big as I want to make it, sort of a thing. So for you basic photographers, that's kind of a thing to keep in mind. I also had to learn not to compose everything in camera, which may be, or in the viewfinder, because then you're like, if everything is like really tight, you're stuck at that 2 by 3 format. And if somebody wants to make an 8 by 10 or something else, then you don't have the real estate around it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Like maybe this was a crop, and if so, good, because that gives you some more space if you wanted to do a different composition with it in the crop. So anyway, and then like I said, the title just a little long, but otherwise great shot, really great graphics.
Okay. Next is On the Road Again. And that's Jean.
Yes, okay. This image is nicely cropped in order to lead the viewer's eye from that reader board sign to the row of cars all the way down to the horizon. So the viewer might have a few reactions like, oh geez, I made it for the ferry, or oh no, I gotta wait that long for the ferry. Whether the intent is to be happy about the wait time or not, the journey to Port Aransas is happening, and it fits the theme. The converging lines of the telephone poles on both sides of the frame give the image some symmetry and some depth. There's clean and even lighting for the main sign, and that row of traveling cars tells us, the viewer, that we're going someplace special. But then when I started checking the vertical lines, it seemed that the reader board's stone base is leaning a tiny bit to the left. And then when I looked at the rectangle formed by the reader board and that street lamp post, it sort of appeared less than square. So it started pulling my eye away from the road. And then maybe this is due to something like just a minor lens correction in post, and that could be worth a try.
Okay, thank you. Good comments. All right, next is Sky on Fire, New Mexico. And that is judge number 3, Charles, step up.
That would be me. Now this one, this is just a wonderful, twilight image. I keep looking at it and going like, is this sunrise? Is this sunset? I didn't really care. I love the way the colors, reflected so well in the water. Even the birds, you could see them, reflected in the water. Usually they're just, kind of blurred out, but they're all real clear there. And it's, kind of the classic landscape sort of photo with foreground, middle ground, background. I just love the gradations, giving all the depth that it has. I mean, this is just, this is a great image.
Yeah, hard to say a whole lot more than that. It's a great image. Okay, thank you. Now we have On the Road Again, number 2, which does not have a commentary, but it's an interesting image with a different type of perspective. Next is, what happened there? Oh, that's it. That's why. All right, and that's the basic class for tonight. And y'all probably want to see who the winners are. So we can do that. Judges' choices. We had 10 images, so we have 3 places. Third place, Return Journey, Clay Laban. Very beautiful story there. Good job. So Clay, what was the story? You just catch this by luck, or is that you in the boat? That almost could be you.
I was taking that photo from the Pflugerville Dam with a 600 millimeter telephoto that I just bought at sunset, with the sun setting in the west behind, and very pleased with the crispness and sharpness of my new telephoto lens.
So new lens and a winner. Man,
All
that's
right,
like
awesome.
going fishing.
What lens?
It's a Lumix Panasonic. It's their 100 to 300 millimeter.
I think the moral of that story is buy more lenses.
There you go.
You don't have to go swimming anyway.
Or
Second
just shoot
place.
more?
Second place, Journey and Traveler, Jose Rios. Congratulations. That's a really interesting image. Is Jose here tonight?
I thought he was.
Jose, are you out there?
Yeah, was I out where? Sorry.
Did you get anything to tell us about this story? Any backstory?
Oh,
or-
yeah. So I was taking the metro rail and was just looking out the window and saw the reflection of the guy who was riding way across from me, and I felt kind of wary about invading his privacy with my camera in his face, so I decided to just take the picture on the window instead of directly at him.
Cool. Well, did a good job of that. It's
Interesting reflections. Reflections add a lot to the image. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And next is first place winner, Sky on Fire, Donna Smith. And there's birds in it. Got to figure it's Donna. Donna, tell us about this. This is pretty amazing.
See, and I didn't even use birds in the title either.
No, well, they're fairly obvious.
Well, it was a trip to Bosque, and there were, of course, thousands of photographers that probably got the exact same shot, but the sky really looked like that. It didn't take much to get that photo.
Well, it's spectacular, to say the least.
You got it. Good job.
Yeah.
You nailed
Thanks.
it. Yeah, there's just, I mean, it's all been said.
It's just beautiful there.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you were able to catch it for us. And it's going to probably inspire a few trips to Bosque this year. Okay.
I'm surprised nobody mentioned the duck.
The duck. Let's go back to the
duck.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
it
I
was
single
the
swimming
theme.
duck
It was
down
the
there in the
theme,
bottom.
Journey.
I saw
The
the
one
duck, but I
duck.
didn't want
Going
to.
the opposite direction.
Yeah, I didn't want to put anything about birds in there.
Yeah.
There's no
I
stick.
think-
You're just fine. There's no stick.
Yeah. All right. So the People's Choice winners. Hope I got this right. Yep. There are 2 silvers. There was a tie. So we've got Return Journey, Clay's image. The other silver goes to Jose for Journey and Traveler. And People's Choice goes to Sky on Fire, Donna Smith. So everybody agreed on these images. Okay. So now we'll move on to the intermediate division. And this, we have 19 images. So I'll go through them. Oops, not that. Escape. Almost blew it. Initial survey. What? Yeah, it's not working. Come on, baby. There we go. All right. Now, fly to the parachute seed. Done fishing. Sunrise float. A new life. Oops, end of the road. The journey of parenthood. Starting out. New Mexico migration. Eagle Nest Creek east of Langtree. His journey, 87 years. Hers, 170 years and counting. Oh, the places you'll go. Traveling to and from Austin. Safari, so good. Making a beeline. Solo traveler. Austin flyover. Only 25.45 miles to go to complete my marathon. Going up. Into the woods. Okay. So we'll get the judges to talk about some of these. Go back to this. All right. Flight of the parachute seed. That is Charles.
Correct. Not that I took the shot, although I would have loved to take this shot. This is great. It's so simple, so elegant. Good color choices here. It's it's a good split complement there, and good gradations in the colors, and the texture of the gold behind behind that seed. I'm assuming that's a seed. I don't know which plant actually that came from, but it all just highlighted and put that seed front and center and made it the subject. And I like there's the light rays coming down from the top center. They just all just kind of line it up and frame it just right. I mean, I'm like, how'd you do that? What's that background made out of? But good job, excellent. I'd take that one any day.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's panning going on here, following the seed in the background's blurred, maybe.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Hopefully, we'll find out later.
Hopefully, we'll get to talk to the photographer afterwards.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, next is done fishing, and let's see, that will be Jean.
Yes, okay. This is simply an amazing scene, a very enchanting fishing scene involving a a primitive longboat, and a leg rower. And I did need to look up what a leg rower was. So the fields are bathed in this golden colored sunlight, and the overall tonality is rich and consistent with good contrast. And then all along the S curve of the stream, there are eye-catching elements, the wooden structures, the low-lying mist, and the distant mountains. The scene has a lot going for it regarding the interest in the foreground, middle area, and the background. And it also evokes a tranquil kind of mood. I think the subject is well positioned off center with a fishing trap and a paddle. But I find that the human reflection is slightly obscured by the grasses at the lower edge of the frame. I could take or leave some more blending in of the dark reed there on the lower right. But still, that's sort of, you almost don't even see it unless you're being really picky. A viewer might enjoy a little bit more foreground or a reflection where the grasses are parted away from the face, and maybe experimenting with black and white would be worth a try. I really love this scene. It's excellent.
Okay. Thanks, Jean. Next is Sunrise Float, and that is Carol.
Yep. This is a really nice kind of minimalist image. It's the more I looked at it, the more I mean, it looks very minimalist, and it is very minimalist, but it also has some really interesting little details that I'll get to. I'm really enchanted by the composition, most specifically how the sun is balancing the balloon on the other side of the main temple there. Any other position wouldn't have worked nearly as well. So that was like a great capture of the timing. The use of the color is really effective. The glowing reds and oranges. It's almost textural. It's so rich. The placement of the balloons is just like really well done. If you count the sun, you've got an odd number there, and it kind of keeps you looking around. It's not too balanced. And then you've got the main temple is a little off center, which adds to it not seeming too static. At first, I didn't care for the higher pointed temple that's off on the left. I thought it seemed too large and intrusive, but now I feel that it adds actually this element of sophistication to the image, because it completes what's lacking at the top of the main temple, where it looks like it has some wooden scaffolding on it with, if you kind of zoom in there, you can see how like the wooden supports kind of come up and still don't quite make that spire. And so that little, the larger of the temple there to the left kind of fills that in your brain. And so I think that that's a really interesting little trick there, how that worked. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's what I had to say about it. And actually, the more I spent with it and saw those little things, it moved that into my first place. I rarely say that, but I want to say that with this one. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for your thoughts.
Yeah.
Next is A New Life. And that one we do not have commentary on. But that's a cute picture. Next is Oops, End of the Road. And that is Charles.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking. I started, making, kind of trite comments about taking your house everywhere, but it really is a journey here that we're seeing, and I really like the way the texture and the directionality of the top leaf, leads us down into the snail. I mean, whatever sort of snail that is. And I think the contrast in color from the leaf to the snail really makes it pop out, even beyond the sharpness of the snail, which is really good too. And then you get down to the bottom and eye stalks, whatever the antlers, whatever those things are in a snail. I'm not, into that kind of. I'm not even sure what kind of animal kingdom that is, so I'm not going to talk about that. But it gives that feeling of motion almost. The antlers pointing down, it feels like, the gravity is trying to grab the snail and yank him off the end, is what it feels like to me. Okay, antenna, that'll work. And then, to add to it, the background, nicely blurred, but also the bright spots, the bright leaf to the bottom left and the somewhat less bright leaf up to the top right, they're all pointing right at the snail. So here we are, we have the snail and not centered either, but, in a nice off-center position, like Kara was talking about. I just thought it was a really nice capture. Good job.
Yeah, great. Snails, clams, squids, and octopodes are mollusks.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Next, the journey of parenthood. And that's Carol.
That is me again. This is a really, really amusing, strong image. It's a great capture, a peak moment. Centering the subjects, actually in this case, helps support the theme. Journey of parenthood, although I think that's a bit obvious as far as a title, and I was coming up with things like long road ahead or first of many headbutts. But anyway, the water at the bottom, I feel is pretty much a strong detractor here. It doesn't add anything to the image except maybe, to make it fit a format better, but I think it's a real detraction. And it's also, the edge of it is like not level. And so that still, that just really bothers me there. You've got really good sharpness and catch lights in the eyes and really, really good texture in the fur. There's a really great sense of tension between the subjects. Obviously, I mean, not just their position, but also you've got really good negative space around both of their heads with the just, very clear background behind them. You don't have any trees in there that's really bothering anything. You've got the very nonchalant stance of the adult versus the juvenile, which is like really braced. You see those front feet are like braced, the back legs are like set, and then you have like the horn and the ear are parallel, but it supports the fact that the older one is like sort of pushing at the smaller one. Just, so if you look at all those little details, it really supports the story and the tension between the subjects. So it's really, really well done. Congrats to catching that.
Okay, thank you. Next is starting out. And Jean, you're on.
Yes. Oh my. My mind starts to think heavenly thoughts when I see these backlit clouds. Just the puffs of smoke from the steam train. I've taken several steam train excursions. They're great fun. There are 3 points in the image that keep my eye in the frame. The lower right wheels that seem maybe a bit soft, the front tip of the engine, and the middle of the steam cloud. And then my eyes bounce between the engine and the back wheels the most. I keep going back and forth, And I think that's due to the extra low camera angle here, which makes the train appear larger than life. And I mean that in a good way. The silver tones work well for a transportation method of the past, and a train in motion fits the theme. The scene is dynamic, intriguing, and quite striking in black and white, I think. In terms of cropping, maybe experimenting with a more horizontal image, crop just above that bright spot in the middle. And that might serve to strengthen the story of just starting out. It would emphasize that steam and the engine's length and the wheels a bit more. It would also bring the viewer's eye closer to the engineer driving the train. And then we'd probably all want to drive it too. Good job. I like the creative camera angle.
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's go here. Next is New Mexico migration. I'm going to have a few without commentary here. Eagle Nest Creek east of Langtree, another train shot. His journey and her journey. It's kind of cute. Oh, the places you'll go. Traveling to and from Austin. So far, so good. Making a beeline. Solo traveler. Austin flyover. And only 25.45 miles to go. And that is Charles' job to comment on.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, wood ducks can't read, wood ducks can't do math, but that's a really sharp wood duck, you know, and I really like the pose and the, you know, the kind of the asymmetrical balance going on between the mile marker and the duck. You know, the duck looks like it's looking at the mile marker, although, you know, I mean, the eyes are in the side of the head. It probably barely sees it. And, you know, at first I was looking at the mile marker and I'm going, well, you know, that's a little soft, but it's limestone. It looks like limestone. You're not getting anything sharp out of that. So I really liked the way this one came out. I thought, I thought there's a little too much math in the title, you know, but you know, I could see the journey, I could see the story. I mean, it was, you know, it's just, it didn't even need the title to tell the story. So I thought this was a great image.
Great. Okay. Next is Going Up, and that is Carol.
Righty. So this is a really interesting still life arrangement, and still lifes, it's like I'm really crappy at arranging them myself. I'm like, if I see a natural still life, I like recognize that as a natural still life, but the minute I start to tinker with it, I screw it up. So I admire the fact that the way that they did the arrangement here. So you've got some really strong compositional elements. You've got the hat overlying the book and yet pointing towards it. The book is mountaineering. It's being made the subject by everything else pointing at it. The boots are pointing at it. The ice pick, if that's ice axe, that's the correct thing, is like actually spearing it, you know, down from the top right into it. But I was really put off by the crampons, because everything else is like so deliberately placed, and it looks like they just took a pile of crampons and just like dropped them down into the image. And that just kind of jarred with me. I thought either use fewer of them or arrange them with the deliberateness kind of that you did the others, curving around the bag or some such. I don't know, that might have looked, too artificial. So that was just sort of the one thing that kind of struck me about that. I thought that the lighting was good. I mean, it's a little cold, a little bright. I might have taken it down, just a tad more but then that would have like really kind of changed the mood of it. But I mean, it just kind of looks like a studio shot, which not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just didn't seem to really add to the story to have it be the way it was. It does, it meets the theme well, and overall, was well done, and certainly much better than I would have done had I tried to arrange those things. So congratulations.
All right. And the last image in this category is Into the Woods. And that's Jean again.
Okay, yeah. I don't quite, oh, there's the image. This image has kind of a magical, mysterious quality about it. And that's what really draws me in. And I think it's because of those deep green forest colors. The light on the forest floor adds yet another level. It's kind of random, rich, and inviting. The verticals of the tree trunks have good highlights, but some lens correction might help out with the outward slant. As a viewer, following the trail adds a layer of depth to the scene, and then the reward being our subjects on their journey together. And beyond them, it makes me want to see, hey, what's around the next bend? And that little highlight in the background kind of indicates that there's more forest, more branches, more things to explore. As for improvement, maybe lifting the shadows on the left side of the frame a bit could provide some more detail and give the overall scene a little bit more continuity. I also find myself wanting to experience more of a connection with the human or the dog, or between the human and the dog, but their faces are hidden. Maybe they're looking at something. I'm not sure, but it's a mystery to me. Good job for capturing a rich green forest and the leading trail into a friendly, familiar kind of subject.
Right. Thanks, Jean. And all of that ends this category. So we'll go on and find out what the judges thought. And I believe we have 4 places in this group. We have 3 places and 1 honorable mention. So the honorable mention is Austin Flyover by Roberto White. I didn't see Roberto. Is Roberto here tonight? I didn't see him earlier. Next is Flight of the Parachute Seed. Jean Thomas, tell us about this.
Oh, goodness. This was like so experimental. I just went into total experimenting mode. Actually, I was working on another photo that totally flopped. So in comes the parachute seed. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do something else now. So I had three flashes set up, and basically, black background all around. And the 2 flashes, like the background one and the one that was on the left, they kind of made the parachute seed look okay. And then I got a 3rd flash handheld right underneath that seed. And when I flashed that one, it just lit the whole thing up. I was like, oh my gosh, there's something there. So when that happened, I'm like, well, I've been experimenting with this light painting thing. And I had I don't know, some kind of homemade foil bit. And when I would draw this foil bit across the exposure, it played with the ambient light. And that's what makes that goldish orange, you know, motion looking thing at the bottom.
Hmm. Wow, I never
Awesome.
would have guessed. It's cool.
Never would have thought that was foil. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. I mean, experiment. It's
Yeah,
fun.
where did it get that gold color from? I mean,
Oh, well, I think it's really about the ambient light. I had, you know, some incandescent bulb on that was, you know, throwing sort of a warmish light in the first place, but it just seemed like it was just a factor of moving it. You know, this was I don't know how many second exposure it was, but I would flash the parachute seed, and then I would move this bit of foil around, and that's how I got the effect. And I had to do it several times until I like, that's the flow that I want.
so is the seed suspended, or did you just drop it and catch it with the flash?
Oh dear, now I have to reveal my secrets.
No.
You don't have to tell us, but we're just, I'm curious. You did a great job. I want to know, you know, I'm like, wow, how'd you do that?
Well, you know, I'm thinking of how many times I'm going to drop this parachute seed, or am I going to cheat here? Or I don't know if you want to call it cheat. But I was able to super glue like a thin filament on it, and then just, it was suspended. And then as the air conditioning in the house would blow, it would kind of move and do sorts of weird things. And it just worked.
It sure did.
Good job.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for sharing all of this. Second place, starting out. Wow, it's good to be a judge in this panel. Charles Schwartz.
Well, I don't think, I didn't really think that my being a judge helped it. I think people, I think it's just a really interesting photo. You know, talking about the different ways of cropping it, I'm sure I've cropped it a whole bunch of different ways, you know, but I agree, you know, it really, you know, initially, you know, if anybody, you know, familiar with this, this is the Union Pacific's big boy. And, you know, at first, you know, I liked these two tanks that are behind the locomotive are armor yellow, the bright yellow that Union Pacific paints everything that isn't covered with steam. But you know, then I tried it in black and white, and I liked it better, you know, in black and white than having the yellow shining through. This way, you know, I could enhance what I was really bringing up here was all this steam. I really wanted this steam to make as much impact as I could possibly get out of it. And, you know, that's kind of why, and that's kind of why I left the crop at the bottom. You know, I wanted that contrast there between the steam and the ground. And I actually, and I had an earlier version of this edit, you know, where I brought the shadows up more so you could, you know, so you could actually see the graphs, but it's backlit. I was like, wait a minute, you know, why, how am I seeing this grass so clearly, you know, if the whole thing is backlit? So I tamped the shadows back down again, and it gives it, you know, it gives this more, and it gives more contrast, you know, for the steam against, you know, to reflect against, you know, than if I just cropped up into the steam. So I keep playing with it, but you know, it's you know, it's one of those where you like it, you know,
Yeah.
and you like it, and you like it, you know, all the different ways you crop it. It's one of those really kind of spectacular shots that you get. So
Cool.
thank you.
Good capture. And first place, Done Fishing by Nick Grossman. Nick,
Hey.
more world travels, man. Tell us about it.
This was taken a couple of years ago in Myanmar at sunrise on a lake very early one morning. All I can say is if you think directing animals is different, you should try and direct Burmese lake fishermen via a translator. They were hellishly difficult to position where one wanted. But the colours, you know, even pre-editing were just lovely, with the mist just clearing and nice colours. This is actually a floating garden they put on this lake inlay. They cut out turf from the mainland, they tow it out and stake it to the bottom of the lake, and they grow tomatoes, which they then sell in the market. So all of that is effectively hydroponic tomato growth.
Oh, cool. Wow, that's neat. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, I had to wonder when we were calling it a fishing shot, you know, and here there looks like there's tomatoes in the, you know, tomatoes are down here. So like, really, we're fishing, and I couldn't find another. I tried looking up fish traps and I didn't see any others like that. So
Fishing for tomatoes.
there you go.
All right. I got the People's Choice winners. And the bronze award goes to Nick Grossman also. And this is really a very stunning image to me. I tell you, the intermediate class looked
Also
very
in,
strong tonight.
Also in Myanmar on a different morning, and about 30 balloons went up. And I was deliberately trying to get this one early in the proceedings and trying to get them to line up in a diagonal against the stupa, the top of that particular prayer building. And I just quite like the balance of that. So yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, great. The silver also goes to Nick Grossman, and that's for done fishing. And People's Choice Gold goes to Jim McDaniel. Oops, end of the road. That's really, is Jim here tonight? I don't remember seeing him. I really like this image. I mean, it's really sharp throughout. Just, you know, you got the snail head in detail and all the little spikes on the leaf. I thought that in the background is completely blurred out. It just really works. All right, we will move on to the next round. Oh, I just wanted to say one thing. I made that joke about judges, but I just remind everybody that judges do not get to vote on their own images. So in case anybody didn't know that. All right.
You always wonder. I mean, when you're a judge, did it help that there's only 2 people voting for you, or did it hurt?
Don't know. It could go either way.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. So now this round was judged by a judge from the Photographic Society of America. So we'll go through them once and then we'll go through them again, and I'll post the critiques up there with the images. So here they are without the critiques. 13 images in this division. Journey to the Center of the Universe. The Golden Hour.
God damn it.
Whoop. Bon Voyage. Winter
Mark,
Travel.
can you move the cursor, please?
I sure can. Winter Travels.
Thank you.
The Road Less Traveled. Looking Back. How you celebrate your first journey to the beach. The Path Less Traveled. Mama will guide you. Water flows over and around. End of the road. Road to Martha. Big boy in West Texas.
See, I'm not the only one shooting that locomotive.
Yeah. Okay. So now we'll show them with the critiques, hopefully. Oops. Wrong. Not judges selections. We want survey with critiques. Okay, now. All right. I'll let y'all read these. I'll slide it down. This judge gave a lot of commentary on most of the images. Uh-oh. Well, I can't slide it down.
Yeah, you can't read the whole thing. I guess you're noticing that.
Yeah, I was thinking that this little thing
Yeah.
here would slide it down, but it doesn't.
It says it sucks.
Okay, well,
You can move on to the next one.
I can probably find out what that says. Now, what happened here?
Come on, get off of it.
It won't move. I have to start over. All right, try that again. The golden hour. Oh, this is disheartening. Hmm. I'll make this comment. Some of you are going to look at the individual numbers for the various categories, and you can say that doesn't add up to the final number. And you're right. And I talked to the judge about that, and he really had no intention. That was just something he was using for himself. But the final score, the composite score, is the way he ranked the images. So I know that always confuses people when those numbers don't seem to jive, and they're not supposed to in this case.
Not too fast, okay?
All right. I'm just disappointed that we can't see all the comments. But they should be visible online. Um, okay. Okay, I'll read the last paragraph to you since I have it on another screen. Says, one of the things I like about this image is its compositional simplicity, but there are a couple of elements on the left that don't help in that regard. Having said that, I think the unfinished work on the rooftop and the green sign could easily be cropped out, leaving the plant in the corner. Try it and see what you think. Okay, I'm gonna go back to a couple images. be cut off, and I can see from this one, I'll read the rest of the critique there. Let's see here. So it says, so what's up with some stars frozen and some in obvious trails? I think the trails, which I think were not part of the original images, have been layered in later without fully removing the original sky, which now that I see it, looks very unnatural to me. P.S. I'm not sure how this connects with the theme, so no points for that. Okay. And I think that's, oh, here's another one. Finish this one. I'd like to see some detail pulled out of some of the underexposed hills, particularly that band of black that forms the shoreline. That's a lot of dead space. In my humble opinion, that's not doing anything for the image. I'd also like to crop up from the bottom too. Again, there's a lot of dead space down there to my eye. Anyway, interesting shot. P.S. No points for meeting the theme. Okay. Okay, this one, there was. I think you might want to try the transform tool in order to make some of your vertical lines vertical, but that might wreak havoc on the woman. Don't know. Very creative, good work. Okay. Make sure that we didn't have any more cut off. Okay, I think we've got them all covered then. All right, so we'll go to the results. Judges' choices. There are 4 images placing. Honorable mention goes to Maureen McKeon for Road to Martha. Is Maureen here? Okay. 3rd place, End of the Road. This is from from Capitol Reef National Park. And on our last day, we came across this poor heap of junk. Actually, it was attached to some kind of ancient drilling rig. But I first shot it in color and actually HDR, but it was just kind of over the top. I decided just to do it in black and white. And I think it works better that way. Looks like somebody used it for target practice. Second place, Hatham Samarchi, The Path Less Traveled. Hatham, are you here tonight? Okay, guess not. And first place, big boy in West Texas, Alan Irby. Nice shot, Alan.
Hey, that's mine.
Yeah.
For the road that I was driving on, matching the speed of Big Boy. By the way, it goes about 45 miles an hour. The road is parallel to the train, so I wasn't panning. I was actually driving and very carefully pointing my long lens out the side of the car, which thankfully there wasn't a lot of traffic, but because I probably meandered a little bit down the highway, but it worked.
Well,
Look at Mark's expression.
I'm glad you lived to tell the tale.
The
which
doctor covering his face.
So which highway is this, Alan?
It's the one that's, I
90.
don't know.
Is
through
this US
Marfa.
90?
It's
Huh?
90.
Yeah. By the way, for those big boy fans, it's coming back through parts of Texas again later this year.
August.
So if you missed your opportunity and want to shoot it, I think it's Houston and up north through Houston. So if you have an interest, it's coming back through.
Well, I would say to you, train shooters, you guys are making progress. I mean, compared to last time, these images are really stepping up.
So this is a real challenging picture to shoot because of the shadows. It's an incredibly dark train, of course, and then of course you got that just bright sky on the other side of it. So I found it really challenging sometimes to get good shots of it for that reason.
Well done. Well done.
All righty, thank you.
Okay. And we have one more. We have to do the People's Choice. And wait a minute. That isn't right. Or is it? Yeah, I think we have a tie in this one, maybe. Okay. So People's Choice. We have tie for bronze between Looking Back. And I just thought this was a picture that I was also started out to do HDR on. And I just liked it in black and white better. And this woman who was with our group is over 80 years old, and she was hiking up every trail and over every rock that us, the rest of us were going, and she was doing just great. But anyway, catching her face in this selection here, I thought kind of helped tell a story, perhaps, of somebody looking back at their old school days, although she wasn't quite old enough, I think, to be in one of these schoolhouses, but just what it made me think of, though. The other bronze goes to Haitham Samarchi. Silver goes to End of the Road. And the gold goes to The Golden Hour by Carol Acurso. Carol, tell us about this.
That's exciting. I wish I'd looked at it a little closer when I uploaded it. Maybe I would have liked it. So, yeah, this was at the end of our last trip in May when we were coming back through the Abiquiu area. We stayed there at the Corps of Engineer campground on the lake there, and sun was going down, and there was just all these like really great things going on with the light and the water. So also there had been a lot of bird stuff going on. So those guys are composited in, but they were taken at the same spot, just at a different angle. But yeah, I added them to kind of give the journey theme, but I have like a number of kind of takes on angles of the water as the sun went down that I have kind of done more abstractly. But yeah, it's one of those things where you grab your camera and just standing there for like an hour, just filling up your 64 or however gigundo card I had. Anyway, glad that it did so well with People's Choice. That's great.
Good. Well, excellent work. Well, let me get out of this.
We obviously liked it a lot better than the judge did.
Well, people always know. Well, folks, that's it for tonight. There's a lot of great images. I want to thank all the makers for sharing them with us. I'll thank the judges for taking over time to give us their perspective. And there were some very good suggestions for a number of the images. So those of you who've got some suggestions, I encourage you to play around with some of them, see if it improves the image in your view or not. But it's always good to, to see what other people think about your images, because sometimes they see wonderful things in them that you didn't. Make you appreciate your own stuff even better than you did. All right, any other comments, questions? Remind everybody that in 2 weeks, Josh will be giving us a talk on architecture and photography. That should be very interesting. I got nothing else, Clay.
Next month is open theme, I suppose.
Next month will be open. And the deadline, let's see, bring up my calendar here. So it's August 5th is the competition. So the deadline for entries will be July 20th.
I'll just add in that some members will be renewing, and you'll get a message from the website that your 12-month membership is up. Ed, we've had sent out several messages, but we don't have any new members this month, if I'm correct. But we are starting to get some 2022 members. So watch for those membership renewals.
Okay. Well, we can count Josh as new, sort of.
Also, just another plug for our store. We have a store at teesprings.com, and you get to that through the website. If you'd like to get a coffee mug or a t-shirt with our logo on it, I think they're kind of spiffy, and it helps the club out. And if anybody has other ideas for designs, we're always, that would be a nice thing to do if someone wants to invent another t-shirt design, logo type. That'd be kind of cool.
Okay. All right, well, if there are any other comments before we go?
I was going to ask if I don't know who the author of the MiG image was. I was going to ask why they decided to call it a MiG-26, since there is no such thing that I've been able to find. Is this just deliberate exaggeration?
No, I'm going to defer to Gene on that one.
Because it was a MiG-17, clearly.
MiG-17?
It's clearly a MiG-17, but the title is 26. So I wanted to kind of know, am I missing some joke here?
No. Originally it was called what, a MiG-150 or something?
What?
It got a promotion.
There we go. The original.
We're having trouble with math, and of course the 860 miles an hour. We're going, no, you didn't have enough blur for that. But
okay, so you're saying it's a MiG
17.
17.
MiG-17.
It's a MiG-17. Yes. And it ain't going 860 miles an hour, but
no, I think it was 600 some. It's below Mach.
Just subsonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's clearly to my eye anyway, it's pretty clear it's an air show. They don't get to go that fast. They don't get to go 680 anywhere near people. So I'm like, if you want to sell the 680, could you put some more blur in? Can you get some more background blur for me to believe that?
Where are the bullets? We should shoot at it.
Yeah, well, right. There you go. That makes it more fun. Sorry.
All right, well, I don't know a MiG-26 from a Chinook helicopter, so.
You said was that a test?
Yeah. We had some discussion about what it should be. I ended up looking up on, or saw an article, and it looked like a 26. No, it looked like a 6. It looked like, what was it? God, I can't remember the name of it now.
Well, I just did the simple thing of pull up Wikipedia and ask what models of MiG there are, and there ain't a 26 listed. So we're kind of like, huh? Where'd you come up with
Well,
that?
you blame me because I'm the one who ended up typing that in after we talked about what it was supposed to be. And I probably put the wrong thing in.
Okay.
It was originally titled another MiG number that didn't exist.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
And,
I'll accept the blame for that because I don't know my MiGs.
except for Carol's composited birds, I'm not sure we had any other bird photos. This is one of the first months we've not had any bird
the
on a
wood
stick.
duck- with the
photo.
wood
We
duck.
had
duck.
flocks of birds.
Oh,
We
duck,
had
we had
that
the duck and the
wonderful
flocks.
sunrise
Yeah, yeah.
Flocks,
sunset
But no
and
close-ups.
And we had a gold, a gold winner, with the New Mexico birds,
Yeah.
with sunset or sunrise.
yeah, we didn't have any birds on a stick. That was good.
Yeah.
But unless they
Hard to-
were really well done birds on a stick.
Hard to call a bird on a stick a journey.
Yeah.
All right, folks, it's 9 o'clock and we did it. Thank you all.
Mark, thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you.
job for all of
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Thank you,
attending.
Mark. Thank you,
Judges,
Ed.
judges, I'll have you back anytime.
Good to see you, Clay. You should come join the exercise class.
All right, take care.
Bye.